Hello and welcome to the first of 5 October sessions of Apocalypse World, second edition, the game by Vincent and Mackay Baker. This is the granddaddy or grandmommy, however you want to say it, the grand thing of all of the Powered by the Apocalypse games, and they come out from this. This is a game that has a long and storied history. I remember when it first came out, a number of designers who were very upset about the tone that it was written in. The people who've now turned around and have written their own PBTA games were, when it first came out, quite upset, which is very strange to me these days. What we're going to be doing today is setting things up, getting things out onto the table. The concept is that we are playing a game that is about survivors in apocalyptic wasteland. We don't know yet what that apocalypse means. There are some conventions that the game sets up. One of them is that the fall happened about 50, 60 years ago, a couple of generations. So there probably maybe some people around that may still remember just vaguely what happened. There's also the idea that there is some kind of psychic maelstrom out in the world. But otherwise than that, it's fairly nebulous and will allow the group to kind of define what that looks like. And we'll talk a little bit about that once we get rolling into this. Our approach is very much a story game approach where we set problems out onto the table and we see how you react. Within that, the assumption is while you might not be like best pals, you might not be tight allies, you do know each other, you have worked together, and at least at the start, you generally like one another. Now, that may change. That may change drastically through the course of play. But that's the assumption that Apocalypse World makes for the player group at the start of things. Obviously, this is a game that is going to have a lot of tough subject material. It is a game where we're going to have violence, we're going to have the use of force, it's going to be somewhat grim. You're fighting against the world itself in this. We'll talk a little bit about what the limits of that tone are in a second. I just want you to be aware that that is certainly on the table. Now, within the course of this post-apocalyptic game, we are going to be using a fairly basic safety tool. I use the X card, which is a standard tool. The X card can be used for tone. It can be used for subject matter. It can be used for objectionable material. It can be used for anything that you're like, we need to move past this. We need to have that removed from what we're doing. If you X card something, you can do that verbally. You can do that with a sign. You can do that in the chat. You can send me a message. If I don't get it one way, please do it another way. And when we do that, we will redact and move past it. No questions asked, except to have a sense of exactly where we are cutting. That's the most basic tool. It's a common one. It's not the best safety tool. It's not the deepest safety tool, but for online games like we're playing, it works reasonably well. To complement that, we have another tool that I'm going to put on the table for you to look at. And as we're doing character creation, I want you to feel free to work towards it. So you'll notice in the playbook here, we've got 4 tabs. We've got the tab for the characters, got a tab for PC pictures, for NPC pictures. We've also got a lines and veils tab. I have a lines and veils tab. Line means anything that you're like, that is right off the table. That is not something I want to see even in this kind of grim game. I don't want to deal with it. A veil is something, if it comes up, we're going to fade to black on it. I have put a number of commonly lined or veiled items there in the list. There's also blanks in the list. As we're doing character creation and things like that, feel free to stop over there and mark out lines and veils for yourself. This is an attempt to give a little bit of anonymity to the process of doing lines and veils. This is something some people have talked about trying to do. And this is the first time I've done this, so we'll see how well this works. But it's an experiment of doing that. Feel free at any point, once we're done with character creation stuff, we'll take a look at what those lines and veils involve. I do want to talk about tone, though, generally, because this can be a pretty mean game. It can be a pretty brutal game. Um, the default is a tough situation. Is anyone like want to say something about doing that darker, or definitely want that to be done lighter? Any strong feelings about that off the top of your head? Certainly, we'll fill in the gaps with the X card and with lines and veils, but I just want to put that out there. Any thoughts on that? At the risk of throwing an open question to the table. Peter, are you good with what seems to be the default of the Apocalypse World setting?
Yeah. I'm pretty used to that with this game, so
Okay.
I know what I'm in for.
Okay. John, what about you?
I've never played Apocalypse World, so but I'm generally okay with going a little bit darker.
Okay. Scott, I haven't played with you before. What's your sense of that?
So I usually don't like grim dark, but that doesn't mean that I would want to shy away from that if that's what other folks are after.
Okay.
So a dark tone is okay.
Okay. Well, let's work with that, and if we find that we're hitting on some of those things, we can use the X card, and we can use the lines and veils to help us move up out of that. And Stephen, what about you? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the setting inherently has some grim dark to it, but I don't necessarily want to dwell on that.
Okay, absolutely. We can certainly veil when things get truly awful. But yeah, please make use of those safety tools as you need to. I may make use of them as we go through here. I certainly have some things that I'll be hitting on lines and veils when the time comes. So with that in mind, we need to talk about playbooks. One of the things being that this Apocalypse World Character Keeper that we're working with is very minimal. Doesn't have any automation for things. So for particular moves, you're going to need to cut and paste out of the PDF or other sources or type it in for those. But what I'd like to start with is a sense of if people have a strong feeling about a particular playbook. Peter, you had expressed an interest in the Battle Babe, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So that's something that's on the table. John, you'd expressed an interest in the Chopper.
Yeah, I think I'm going Angel.
Oh, Angel. Okay. All right. So leaning towards that. Stephen, do you have a sense of what you might want? Do you have a claim to either of the ones that have already been spoken for?
I was going to take the Maestro D.
Okay. All right. Scott, does that give you enough room to choose from?
That gives me plenty of room. Yeah, I've got a couple of ideas, and none of those overlap except for
okay.
But that's fine.
So what I'm going to let all of you do is get started on making those choices about stats, about moves, about look, all of those things. Go ahead and work through that. I will be here. And if you have any questions, I'll be sitting here awkwardly for a while. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time to work on that. and because I always forget this. By the way, for those of you at home, some of you know me, but my name is Lowell. This is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. You can find out more about that at gauntlet-rpg.com. My pronouns are he, him. Our players, I rarely ask their names because I see the little things, but I'll be asking their characters' names and their character pronouns when we come to that.
So the angel moves. Do I get all of those? I don't see anywhere to like where it says like pick X.
So if I'm not mistaken, it's actually on the second page. There's kind of two columns. In one of those
Okay.
columns, it says moves, and then
Yeah.
it should say the number of moves you get.
Oh, all right. Thanks.
Basic moves plus 2 angel moves. So let's start from first principles about what we know, given the character playbooks at this point. We know that there's enough surplus or enough resources that we can have a settled place that the Maestro D acts out of, that they have something that can be their place. It may be maybe more portable, maybe less portable, but we know that that exists. We also know that because we have a driver, we know that there are vehicles and the ability to get around in those vehicles, though the particular vehicle our driver has may be rare, but we know that those things are true. Let's talk about what that environment, given those constraints, looks like. And so, Peter, what kind of environs are we talking here? Like if we were to go, what part of the world are we in for this? What would be your pick? Give me a big thing to set right out of the gate.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, dropping this in my lap. I mean, to be honest, this feels like it could be sort of post-apocalyptic Rome. I kind of feel like with the way that there's enough surplus and enough vehicles and everything, this is like the, new version of the old Colosseum.
Oh, so you think literally Italian, like Italy, or you think more literally ruins? What are we talking here?
I'm thinking rebuilt from the ruins. I don't think literally Italian, and if it is, it's been a while. So people are less concerned about how Italian it is and more concerned about how violent things could be.
Okay, so we're talking 60 years have passed. There were some historical things. Those have gotten knocked down, and that's what we're talking about, that kind of thing?
I think so, if
Okay.
that's all right.
All right. Given that context, John, how tight do you imagine resources are in this? Are we talking pure scarcity? Are we talking a little bit of surplus? What are you imagining there on your end of things?
We're in Rome.
Well, we're in a place, a location we haven't quite identified, where we have older monuments, older monumental architecture, whether that's skyscrapers or historical stuff that has collapsed. Been 60 years since the fall.
I would say there's probably like a little bit of resource, like scrub plants and maybe small animals that we can find, but not like not absolutely everything is scarce, but still not great.
Okay, Stephen, here's the $1,000 question. What happened? What is the apocalypse?
I think it was aliens.
Okay.
I mean, they came in, they destroyed civilization, and they left.
Smashed down, just like we were doing a Bruckheimer film. They destroyed all the world's monuments. All of those have been reduced to rubble. Moved through. Was it an invasion to take resources? Was it just a sweep through, destroy, and then move on? What was that like?
As far as we know, they just swept through, they destroyed, they moved on. If there was a reason for the invasion, I mean, none of us know what it is.
Okay.
It happened so fast that.
So almost a little bit like the thing in Stalker, where we have these aliens, they come through, they're incomprehensible in some ways, and then they go off and we don't know exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Okay. Scott, what is the weather like right now? What is the climate of the place we're at? We know historical stone, Rome, Italy gives us a wide range. What do you think the current climate is that we are starting in?
I think it's a more rainy than not, so it's a
Okay.
very wet environment. Often overcast. So
Wet environment, probably the well-made stone roads and things like that have survived. Would be rarities. That would be a strong feature for our driver. Okay. With that in mind, what I want to do is just sort of a small backdrop, and we'll add on to that as we go along. I would like to go around and have you introduce your characters, who they are, what they look like, those kinds of things, what your moves you've chosen. Do all those introductions, and we'll go through that and do the HX questions. So same order. Peter, tell us about Nuzzle.
Yeah, so Nuzzle is the battle babe. Look-wise, he's a man, he, him pronouns, casual wear, handsome face, indifferent eyes, and a gorgeous body. Looks very much like Nick Frost, I'm not going to lie. That's kind of the face grab I went for, and it kind of fits the whole thing I'm going for, which is, yeah, he's a battle babe. Yeah, he's completely comfortable in his own skin. Yeah, that doesn't mean you necessarily need to conform to society's opinion of what attractive is or gorgeous is. It's just he's got more to love. What else? Should I say my moves? Or?
Yeah, let's hear about your moves.
Okay, so moves-wise, I've got Ice Cold, which is when I go aggro on an NPC, roll plus cool instead of roll plus hard, which is awesome because my plus cool is always 3. And when I go aggro on another player's character, I roll plus HX instead of rolling plus hard. And then the other one is Perfect Instincts. When you've read a charged situation and you're acting on the MC's answers, take +2 instead of +1.
You said gorgeous body. Would you say that he appears physically fit? Does he hide his physique? What is his?
He is fit in the sense that he, I think he's a bit fuller of a person, but not in the sense that he tires out or anything. For the body that he is as fit as can be.
And what is his weapon of choice?
So what I've given him, if it's close combat, he's got a staff that kind of splits into a skirmish sticks for some range, but also kind of dealing some nice harm. And then for the occasional time that someone is actually somewhat far away, or multiple someones are somewhat far away, he's got a blunderbuss.
You're the most nasty, violent person among the group. And you're a battle babe. What do you imagine your role is like? I mean, you're not a hard holder.
No.
You're not controlling groups or things like that. As a battle babe, what do you do?
I think especially here, there's enough interesting stuff going on. And my definition of interesting is flexible. It's kind of what I deem to be fun, and fun is not necessarily safe. And so when I'm sort of around, I'm sort of keeping an eye on things, but also making myself known so people have to keep an eye on me. Like, I keep a certain balance and a certain order, though it shifts depending on my feeling.
So are you a sheriff? You try to be a sheriff in a lawless world filled with horrible hard holders and violent folk?
I'm a sheriff in everything but name, because
Okay.
I don't think I'm necessarily like, oh yeah, of course, that's the title that I have, mostly because I saw what happened to people with titles. There aren't a lot of them left.
That makes sense. All right. We'll come back to you and we'll see who you owe what to.
Yes.
John, tell us about Bleak. What are Bleak's pronouns?
Bleak is uses he/him pronouns,
Okay.
and Bleak is Bleak is a soldier. So when things went down, he just kind of was able to fall into what he knew before. So he was a medic. So he's kept being a medic. And
So when you say that, let me ask you the question. So the stuff happened 60 years ago.
oh, okay.
So
I'll say then that it kind of I'll just kind of peel it back. So it was like his father was, and so it's just kind of passed down.
Okay. How old is Bleak?
He's probably a bit older. Let's say like mid-30s.
Okay. So probably we're talking probably your dad, probably second generation. He probably was born afterwards.
Yep.
Learned from his father, so your grandfather. Okay, that makes sense. Go ahead and tell us what Bleak looks like and all of that.
Okay, so Bleak, he's a pretty rugged looking guy. A lot of his stuff is anything he has to like barter and trade. He kind of keeps up with the medical supplies, so his clothes are more scroungy and whatever he can find and hold on to. He's got a really weathered look, real lean, tall, taut skin, dark skin, and hard face and tired eyes.
Okay. Tell us about your moves.
Okay. For moves, the two I took is Battlefield Grace. So when I'm helping somebody, if I'm focused on that, I get +1 armor, and he has a healing touch, so he can kind of intuit help people, but it opens up the maelstrom.
You have the Angels kit, which is quite a bit of stuff. Are you on the road? Is it portable? Are you moving around, or do you have like a set space that you have, a makeshift clinic at? What do you imagine that's like?
I'd say it's like portable, but not like real convenient. So it's like a very large duffel bag that's just kind of like stuffed with stuff.
Okay. So you move around. Who keeps you safe? Is it just you, or do you have, people that look after you, or, how are you kept from somebody going, well, we're just going to keep the doctor locked in here with us?
It's just kind of, everyone needs a doctor. So no, you don't mess with the doctor because bad things will happen if you do.
Okay. And you're definitely the best. I mean, you're the angel, so there may be other people who can treat stuff, but you're by far and away the best of them. Do you like being a doctor?
It's useful.
I don't think that's an answer to my question. Do you like being a doctor? I mean, is it just a utility thing? Like, how to do it and that's how I make my living?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
how I can make my living. It's especially, when people need you, they usually will help you out.
So it is not a necessarily a moral imperative for you.
No, it's not love, but it has perks.
Okay. All right. There's a wonderful way to put that. All right. Well, we'll come back to you on your HX questions here in a little bit. Stephen, let's come to Jackbird. Tell us about Jackbird.
Okay, Jackbird is the maestro deed, which is to say that she runs an establishment, which is the source of entertainment. And in her look, she's female, vintage wear, tattooed face, one eye, lean body, scarred hands. She's a very dramatic looking person. Her establishment is called the Mud Pit, and it literally contains a mud pit. The main attraction are the fights. And it's mostly fights between people, mostly unarmed, but she has a mutant crocodile in a cage, which there will be wrestling matches.
Okay.
Particularly if somebody has built up a very large tab, which they need to pay off somehow. And people mostly do not get killed or even seriously hurt in these crocodile wrestling matches, but they have to exert themselves to avoid it. The crocodile is not very fast, but it is strong, it is dangerous. So there's a lot of hooting and hollering when that happened. And there are also plentiful drinks and gambling at the Mud Pit. So it's very much a social center in this part of the world.
Are there other entertainments around? I mean, are we talking that there's a village here, or is your place out in the middle of nowhere and people come to you, or is it like a market? What are you imagining there?
And I think there's a settlement, there's a market, but there's not really anybody in charge. No, there are sort of a few different people who have influence. I'm definitely one of them, but I can't boss everybody around. There are probably a couple other gangs who have some power, and so far everybody is sort of, there's tacit agreement that we want to keep order. There's nobody who's sort of making a move to take things over yet.
Okay. So precariously balanced, but you're a power player within that. You mentioned the fights. What's the? I think I must have missed what the other feature was of your establishment.
Drinks and gambling.
Drinks. Okay. And do you want? Should we work through your NPCs, your regulars, to get a sense of who they are?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, according to the sheet I've got, there are NPCs. Lamprey, Ba, Camo, Toyota, and Litz.
You feel free to change those names if you need to.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I would rather not have to come up with names on my own, so I'm
sure.
Happy to stick with those.
So who's your best regular?
Oh, I'd say that's Lamprey, and Toyota is probably my worst regular. He's the guy who's always coming in and trying to scam people.
Okay. Is Lamprey a man or a woman or something else?
Lamprey he's a man. He's a big hulking guy. It's like if I need somebody bounced, then he's the guy I'll call over and say, toss this guy out.
And so those are the regulars. 3 NPCs at least have an interest in your establishment. Who wants in on it?
Crow. He's one of the gang leaders that I mentioned before. He's sort of got a bike gang, and yeah, he definitely he wants the money that I bring in. He wants to get a cut.
What is money? Is it just barter goods? Is there a particular token? What do you mention that is?
I think that there are copper coins.
Okay. Who do you owe for your business?
That's Rolf Ball.
Okay.
And the building that I use, he had a bunch of squatters in there. He's sort of he's sort of a religious figure. He's talking the gospel of the aliens. They have these rituals that are supposed to keep the aliens from coming back, and it was the biggest building in the area. It's the only one that's really big enough to have an establishment like this with fights. So I convinced him to move out. He split his group up between 3 or 4 smaller buildings.
So the biggest, largest structure, other ones are smaller. Who wants it gone?
Gams is he's not a local, but he's got a competing establishment that's in a settlement a couple hours away, and he is basically in charge of that settlement.
Okay.
So he just wants to get rid of me so that more people will come to his place.
All right. And what did you choose for your 2? Do you want the security as the gang, or did you choose 2 other things?
I choose 2 other things. Everyone's packing. Your cast and crew are a gang. That's a 2 harm gang, small, 0 armor.
Okay.
And a convenient shotgun.
Okay.
And
excellent.
My moves are, you call this hot. When I do something under fire, I roll plus hot instead of plus cool. And everybody eats, even that guy. When I want to know something about somebody important, I roll plus hot. And on a hit, I get to ask the MC questions.
Okay. That sounds good. We'll come back to you on your HX questions. Scott, tell us about your character, Skipper.
So Skipper is a they, them. And they moved around a lot, kind of growing up in formative years. Was part of a small community that traveled around. We were running scams here and there, and quickly developed a talent for essentially being the getaway driver, or even in the event that they were on, say, a gondola, the getaway skipper, which is how they got their nickname. And has only recently started to move away from that group as they've become more, into their own. So I'm envisioning that they're, early 20s, late teens, so youngish, but have been around the area a bit, with this group.
What's made them split off from that group?
I think just natural progression of wanting to be with some other people, met some other folks who they've gotten close with, here and there, and just not wanting that lifestyle. They were constantly on the go. And that got tiring.
Wanted a place to at least have a home base to operate out of?
Yeah.
Was there a breaking point? Did something happen that finally pushed you over to make that choice?
Yeah, they had I think they had a really large fight with, this is a, smallish group. They all referred to each other as family. So the person that they grew up with, calling them their brother, but isn't actually their brother. Mm-hmm. They had a really bad row, and that was it. So they just decided, this is it. I'm staying put here. You go, and eventually found their way to where we are when we start.
What's that brother's name?
let's go with what was the tone of everybody else's name? Let me check. How about I was going to say a skipjack, but my name's Skipper, so that would be confusing. How about Jack then? We'll just go with Jack.
Jack. Okay.
Can we get another name, because I'm Jack Bird?
Oh, that's right.
Sorry about that. That's right. Picking half of somebody's name at some point or another. Yeah, let's go with Johnny then.
Okay. And what moves did you take?
So I've taken Eye on the Door.
Mm-hmm.
Comes from being the getaway person growing up. Name your escape route, and on a roll plus cool, 10 plus I'm gone. On a 7/9, go away or stay. Might cost
like that.
And then reputation. So when you meet someone important, my call, roll plus cool. On a hit, they've heard of me. And then if I get a 10, I get a +1 forward. 10 plus.
Well, and why? What would they have heard? What would be the usual thing that you think is the reputation that would precede you?
I think it would be my role in that group. So they've heard, the tales of this group running scams, and then moving about the post alien invasion, landscape, never quite staying put. And Skipper was the one who always got them away from getting caught.
And okay, let's hear then. What's your vehicle right now?
Right now, I've got a. It's kind of wet, so I think right now it's like you think like we're in some kind of like Italianish era. So think like maybe like the they don't have Jeeps so much, but those Rovers that they have, the 4x4s.
Okay.
With the large backs. I'm not a car person.
Neither am I. So what you said sounds right. Okay. And anything you want to tell us about what that looks like?
Right now, it's I've got it painted like a let's go with like a deep dark red, almost a maroon.
Okay.
A little darker than a maroon actually would be on a car nowadays. And I forgot to actually go over my description.
Oh yeah, what do you look like?
So they're ambiguous, gender's uncertain, and they don't share that easily with other people. Vintage wear, and actually in the PC's pictures and shit tab, I put a picture. They've kind of scrounged together an old like mid 18th century looking costume. Really, it's probably from some theater or company from before the fall. Mm-hmm. But and that's that they dress like that, like this really really old look to them, and a fine bone face, really kind of not a round face, but not a hard face, just kind of, in between, and very cool eyes, always kind of watching, but not cold eyes, just alert and cool. Like they are always calm, always collected, even when on the inside they're, shitting their pants.
I like it. All right. We'll come back to you with your HX questions here in just a minute. Which brings us back to our battle babe. We come back to Nuzzle, and you've had a chance to listen to the other characters. You've got a list of HX questions you can ask, and you go around for HX here. List the other characters. On your turn to ask the other characters which of the characters you can trust. So let's have you walk through that process.
Yeah, sure. Let me just write everyone's name down first so I can keep track easily. So I will just go straight down the line as I see them. So let me just get to the page. Cool. Jackbird, can I trust you?
Absolutely. I'm square with everybody.
Great. Bleak, can I trust you?
Yeah, of course.
Great. Skipper, can I trust you?
You're muted.
You're Bleak.
Oh, no, I'm Nuzzle.
Oh yeah, you can trust me then. Yeah, that's okay. I had to figure out who everybody is because everybody was talking, and now I'm looking at the names, and now I've got to really put them to voices.
Yeah, this is a very surprising thing. A battle babe in a room full of people he can trust. This is going to be interesting.
That seems fair, and we'll come back around to you once everybody's gone. We'll do the highlighting of the stat as well. That is perfect. Let's come then to Bleak. Bleak, what does your HX look like as the angel?
All right. Which one of you do I figure is doomed to self-destruction?
Any one of them.
I think me.
Okay. That makes sense?
Yeah, sure.
That's HX
okay.
-2.
Yep. So which one of you put a hand in when it mattered and helped me save a life?
Could be me.
Okay. And then which one of you has been beside me all along and has seen everything I've seen?
Ooh. Yep. Yeah, that's Nuzzle. That is interesting. I've been around longer than I anticipated.
All right. And then for our Maestro D, let's look at your HX.
Yeah, which of you do I find most attractive?
I'll bite.
Okay, Skipper. And which of you is my favorite?
You run a violent place.
That's fair.
I would volunteer Nuzzle.
Okay.
That then gives you a +1 for Bleak.
That's 3 hex for Nuzzle, 1 for Bleak, and 2 for Skipper.
Okay. And then let's go to our driver. You can ask 1, 2, or 3 of those questions.
Which one of you has been with me for days on the road?
You can carry my stuff. I'd travel with you.
All right. And that's Bleak.
Yep.
So +2. Go to the +1 question, which is, which one of you once got me out of some serious shit?
Oh, that could be me.
Jackbird. All right, and the last question is, which one of you have I caught sometimes staring out at the horizon?
That leaves me and poses a very interesting question of what is it I'm looking for?
Yeah, it does actually.
Yeah. Oh man. Hang on. Wait. Oh wow, that is hilarious.
Okay. Does that work for you?
Does it work, or do you want to?
Oh no, I'm totally cool with it. I was just noticing that I have a -1 HX with everyone, and everyone else has a +3 with me.
That makes sense.
I didn't.
Not at all.
I didn't plan for that.
Nuzzle, who do
Yeah.
you want to have highlight one of your stats, given that
Ooh.
all yours are equal?
Yeah. That's an odd thing. So, uh, Bleak. Why not?
Okay. Bleak, what stat would you like to see Nuzzle roll with?
All right. I want to see the babe part of Battle Babe, so I'm going to say hot.
Oh, okay.
And I'll be generous. I'll say sharp.
Oh,
Session 1, not going to make you roll on your worst stats right away.
yeah. I appreciate that. Also, not my best.
I know. Now, here's the interesting thing is, and now we're just going to ask Nuzzle 3 times to highlight everyone's stats. Nuzzle,
This is
can
why I
you
said it was
please
hilarious.
highlight a stat for Bleak?
Oh goodness. Yeah. I'm gonna say we might be under some pressure. So highlight your cool. I'm gonna highlight your cool.
And I'll have you highlight your hard. And then let us do the same with Jackbird then.
Sure. Someone's got to keep an eye on us. Highlight your sharp.
And then I'll have you highlight your hot. And last but not least, highlighting Skipper.
Think for a moment. Yeah, also you're sharp.
And since I haven't highlighted anybody else, I'm going to have you highlight your weird. All right. We're going to take about a 10-minute break here, maybe a little bit less, but that's going to be the general. Give me a chance to think about things. And then we will come back and we will get rolling. All right.
I will say that's definitely the first time playing as a battle babe that everyone has said, "Yeah, you can trust me." That's a first.
I look forward to finding out if it's true.
Yeah. And if it's not, I'm off to a bad footing. Because one of my moves is very HX reliant when going aggro on other PCs. And I'm at a severe disadvantage now. Not that I'd want to right off the bat, but we'll see. Lowell, you're
You have
muted.
to leave that option open, so you don't.
Yeah, no, I know.
Hey, so Nuzzle, I have a question about what your lifestyle's like right now.
Sure.
At the start of session, you can give me 1 barter, and you're in decent shape. You're in okay shape. You're getting by. Maybe 2 barter, and you're in really good shape, substantially better. Or you can play 0 barter, and things are going to the shit.
Well, things are so trustworthy right now. I'm going to give you 1 barter. They're going okay.
Yeah. So you have the same quality of life as most people around you. That seems fair.
Yeah.
What about you, Bleak?
I don't have a whole lot of barter to spare, but I guess I can do 1.
Okay, yeah.
Make sure I'm having an okay life.
Why not? Why not? How much does that leave you then?
1.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you'd be fine then. Yeah, I'll be good. Yeah, I'll be good. What about you, Jackbird?
Well, I don't need to spend barter for my upkeep unless
That's right.
unless I want something in particular, which I don't at the moment.
Okay, so you're rolling along fine. And what about our driver? What about Skipper?
I will give you the barter.
Okay. So everyone, please mark that barter off of your sheets. So
I got a rules question really quick.
Okay, I'll give you an answer.
With the with Nuzzles +3 on the HX, does that go on top of the +3 I've already got with them, or is there a maximum limit on HX?
HX is asymmetrical, so you track them each separately.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah. Nuzzle, tell me, we've established a few features here. We've got these, 1 large building that the mud pits in, smaller settlements around. We've got evidence of ancient ruins, touristy trap area. There's also some mention of canal things. So we're not necessarily in Venice, but we're certainly in the region. And I imagine that the med is in terrible shape, probably dried up in some places and cracked into other places here. So tell me here, what resource, what good thing for this settlement have you been tasked with protecting?
So I know things have been wet. I'd also like to kind of insinuate that we're getting into the later part of the year, so it's been getting quite a bit colder.
Okay.
And I am in charge of protecting sort of the last supply of completely dry heat lamps.
Okay. And whose heat lamps are they? Like who's the person who has assigned you this task?
Good question. I don't have quite a clue just yet.
Do you want a name?
I do want a name.
There's a heart holder named Harrow.
Yes.
And she is the person who has some savvy head people that work for her.
Yeah.
That those kind of people that can restore and repair things. They have that. And she carefully keeps those things under lock and key. Normally she wouldn't go to you because she's got her own people.
Right.
What's happened that she's had to turn to you to do this?
Being a heart holder, I think Harrow has a lot of fingers in a lot of different pots. And I think that due to that, because things were getting colder, she kind of started making arrangements with some of her people to take care of more than just that, but also to like make sure, people had enough food and, shelter was spread to just about anyone that needed it. And then 2 of those people went missing. And I'm not the first person on her list, but my name is on the list.
And she's come to you and she said, you just need to stand here and make sure that no one fucks with my shit. And you need to keep it safe. When all is said and done, one of these lamps is in your hands, plus a little coin and jink to go inside it.
I mean, fuck it, you pay me, I'll do it.
Okay. And so in this kind of damp, cold night, what is the thing that tells you that as you're do you patrol? Do you sit? What do you imagine around this shed that has these things?
I think every couple of minutes I pace back and forth a bit, but when I'm not pacing, I'm sitting.
Okay. What is the thing that while you're kind of in between those things, it tells you that something's off?
So I think with how things have been recently, being wet and all, there's a certain amount of noise that people make when they move about.
Mm-hmm.
And what tips me off is the fact that there's brief periods of time where there's no noise. And it's not even like water running or anything. There's brief moments where it's just total silence, which means someone is actively hiding their footsteps.
I imagine the wet and damp here that there are frogs all the fuck around the place.
Oh,
like,
God.
There are frogs and toads and those kinds of things. And there's that bit where they stop. What would you do?
I think physically I would continue to pace and sit. I would very much be just with my eyes scanning the outside. I assume that there are windows of some kind. Am I outside or inside?
I imagine you're outside the shed.
Okay, then in that case, very much scanning just with my eyes, but trying not to change up my movement. And this very much sounds like reading a charge situation.
Absolutely. Let's have you roll with sharp.
Great. What's our roll for your party?
Ooh, I didn't create one, so let me do that right now. Gosh, it's because I ran Amber, which was diceless, so I forgot all about roll for your party.
No big.
Let's generate a new one. Here's a new room. Ooh, urgently better Malamute. Let me put that in the chat here for everybody.
Okay.
There's your roll for the party.
Thank you. All right. Let's go with that and that. All right. Just going to roll it right now. All right. That is a 7.
That is a 7. What is your question?
Let me look over the questions real quick. What should I be on the lookout for?
Well, what you'll probably be on the lookout for is when one of the two dudes that are kind of, been moving around a back gully, kind of around a corner here, kind of look at them. When you see one of them kind of hit this flint thing, and you see them light the rag on this Molotov that they are getting ready to toss into the building.
Okay.
We'll come back to you.
Yeah, thanks.
So, Bleak, where are you in town at this moment? What are you up to? Where does Bleak hang their head? They don't have a clinic.
Yeah.
What do they do?
I guess hang around wherever the people are. So if there's an I don't know, like a tavern or like.
Well, we know the only tavern, the only large social establishment place in the town is the Mud Pit.
So it'll be at the Mud Pit then.
Okay. And what is going on right now at the Mud Pit that you're involved with?
At the Mud Pit right now is there's some people fighting in said Mud Pit.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just kind of watching, and he'll kind of like as somebody gets out, and he's, hey, you look pretty beat up there. You need a hand? I could fix you up for some trade.
Yeah, I think you can probably. I mean, you're going to get enough maybe to cover some drinks as you bandage some people up. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
Yeah, and let me think here. What is it that signals to you as you're bandaging this guy up that this guy shit is about to go down for this guy, and you are standing right by him? Like you're like, he's on a stool, you're bandaging him up, and like the hackles in the back of your neck kind of go up like, oh shit.
Is it I'm thinking he's going to start something, or I'm thinking someone's going to start something with him?
You're not sure. Do you want to try and read the situation?
Yeah.
Do you want to try and read him?
Yeah.
Which would you rather do?
I would rather I'm checking him out, so let's see what's going on with him.
He's sitting there, he's kind of hunched over. He's a pretty good fighter, but he's got the wraps on his hands with the broken glass in it. He's got some slices on the side, and you're patching those up as best you can. Let's have you roll sharp.
8 and 9.
Okay. So that will give you one question.
All right. That's after the characters, isn't it? Okay. Read a person?
Yeah.
Okay. What do they intend to do?
They intend to get patched up and get out of here because because they've crossed some people and they know that they need to get out of here before they come for them.
Right.
So, I think as you're doing that, you see a couple of people walk up, and they've got knives out, and it looks like maybe they are going to stab your patient, and maybe they don't care if you're in the way. They kind of walked up, the knives have come out, sharpened rebar kind of thing, and they've come up and they look pissed.
I'm gonna try and not be in the way then.
All right. Let's have you act under fire.
Okay. And
roll with cool.
Roll with cool. Okay. 9 again.
Okay.
And do something under fire. Okay.
So I think that you gonna roll or jump, or how do you get out of there?
Just seeing he's getting a bit jumpy as I'm trying to patch him up. I notice the people coming up behind, and I just kind of stand up and put my hands off to the side. And
I think when you do that, when you step back, you are by the edge of the pit. It is all muddied, the hell on that, and that your feet go out from under you. You hit your chin on the floor as you go down into the pit and hit into that mud down in there. We'll come back to you in just a second. Jackbird, this night has been going decently. Things are up. People are happy. We've had some good fights. What for you has been the high point of the evening so far?
A high point. We actually had this guy from out of town, a stranger that I've never seen before, wrestle a crocodile, and he actually did a really good job. He entertained everybody. He wasn't just running and floundering in the mud. He actually got a grip on the crocodile and was wrestling it. He did the full 5 minutes and acquitted himself well. So crowd was in a good mood after that.
Yeah. And you had a good couple of fights after that, and people are excited. It's the gurgle and shout and there's a fight going on in the pit right now. And you kind of probably have a sixth sense about this when the atmosphere changes. And you will look over and you see one of your best fighters, a guy named Lucio, standing by the edge of the pit, and he is grabbing at his sides, where he is spurting out blood from some stab wounds, like to the kidneys. There are a couple people kind of pulling away, like clearly his assailants. But the other thing you saw Bleak fall into the pit. What do you do?
Right. Well, I'm not particularly worried about Bleak because the crocodile is not in the pit right now.
Right. But there's a nasty scrum going on in there.
Right. I mean, I'm pulling out my shotgun and I'm firing a blast into the air to get everybody's attention. And I'm gentlemen, you know the rules. You fight in the pit or outside the door, outside the building. What is going on? And I am striding over to where this guy is bleeding, sort of to intercept these people who appear to be responsible.
It kind of sounds to me like you're pulling out that gun and you're making it clear you want him to stop. So the gun is the threat. Let's have you go aggro.
That's an 8.
That is an 8. There are two of them. One of them is closer to you, and definitely puts their hands up like they've got something, but clearly they've dropped it back down their sleeve, kind of thing. But they put their hands up to not get the shotgun blast to the face. But the other one is kind of getting the hell out of there, falling back, running. Does that seem like a fair comp?
Sure, I'll let the one of them go, but I'm going to hold the other one here to find out what's going on.
Okay. Kind of get your hands on what turns out to be a woman, and you've seen her around, but you don't know her name. And you kind of look down and you see Lucio kind of give out that last gurgle as his life is bleeding out there into the mud on the side of the pit. We'll come back to you in just a minute because we're going to want to see what's up with Bleak and so on. Skipper, what do you do to make ends meet?
We didn't establish how big our community is in terms of the physical geography, have we?
No, we described there's probably some stone roads, there's some ruins. There's one bigger building, big enough to house the mud pit, so decent size. But everything else is smaller buildings scattered around.
I think maybe I'll provide some local taxi. Sometimes when it's really raining, folks don't necessarily want to walk home in that shit.
Okay.
So I'll drive people around. Our angel probably sometimes needs to get to some people who are sick, who can't get to them, and they don't have a clinic. So maybe I take the angel around, do that kind of thing.
How do you do like the pickups? You don't have any kind of phones or things like that. What's your system for picking up fares?
That's a really good question. Let's see, what would we do? I think people they can hoist up like a flag, almost like a semaphore kind of flag. When I see say a green flag, that means there's a ride. If I see a red flag, it means that somebody needs the dock or something.
Absolutely.
So the angel.
Where do you suppose you stop off to eat from? Like what is the kind of thing? I mean, do you carry stuff with you? Are there little are there carts? Is there a market? Is there like the equivalent of a little place you can walk in and get a bowl of food? What do you imagine that's like?
Yeah, I think we got like a dive. Think like maybe like the noodle shop that Harrison Ford's character went to in Blade Runner.
Yeah, all plastic on the outside and kind of rolling along, and
just crummy, hot food with stuff in it, hot liquid with stuff inside of it.
And you're there and getting that. It's just sort of, it's like a lentil paste gruel kind of thing. Got a little bit of garlic in there, but you're sitting there kind of eating that, and Toyota comes and sits themselves down next to you, and they're like, "Hey, Skip."
Toyota.
How's it going?
Pretty good.
I had a funny story about a guy who drove from here on over to Geneva. Do you want to hear the story? It's a good story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he proceeds to launch into this long, shaggy dog story about this drive, and it's long and boring, and he keeps going, and he kind of keeps going till you realize he really has no point. He's just talking at you.
Yeah, and I think he's done this before. It's kind of a soothing sound for me. He's annoying, but it's just he's a feature. He's a fixture. So when I'm in a better mood like today, just let him go. Other days I might be rude to him.
And he finishes up, and he's like, "Oh, okay, I'll talk to you later, Skip."
And I pull out a little piece of paper and I write down Geneva.
And
give me a location name that I want to make sure I know where it is.
And you will walk out, a little bit of rain there, and your gas cap's open. Somebody's popped the lock on that. The gas cap's open.
It's open.
Yeah. Can smell gasoline here, like the spillover.
I immediately pop up and head over there to check it out.
Okay. You go. You can smell the spilt gas. It's very clear to you that someone has siphoned off gas from your vehicle.
Oh, shit.
You're one of the few people around here who actually has a vehicle. It's one of the few things you probably have a lock on there. That's probably got bent all to hell. Somebody really had to work at it.
Yep. Yeah, I'm going through in my mind the other people who have vehicles.
Okay. There are a couple people. Who's the other person who has a motorized transport? Probably more of a utility vehicle than anything in town. What's their name?
There's a runner. Runner's got like a flatbed pickup.
Yeah. You don't see runner around here, and you don't see the marks of the treads from his flatbed.
I'm gonna try to see if I can start the engine up, see if any gas was left over before I close it up, and then start walking to go get some.
Oh yeah, I think there's just enough. You can tell you're running on fumes.
I get it somewhere safe, and then grab myself from wherever I've been sleeping, grab myself a gas can, and head out if I get there safely.
Yeah, your best bet is to go over to Harrow.
Yep.
Because she often has some gasoline stored.
Yep, and I'll head over there and just got siphoned again. Gonna need some more.
So you're walking over towards her supply hut and things. You heard that there've been some shit that had gone down with her recently, but you figure maybe somebody's around that can hook you up. And you're walking over there. And I'll come back to what you see in just a second. So, Nuzzle, these two assholes are about to throw a Molotov into the building that you're guarding.
I'm going to cock my blunderbuss and just say rather loudly, I'd say I really wouldn't do that if I were you, but I'm not going to be you, so just don't pull that shit with me.
Let's have you go aggro.
All right.
They've already lit the Molotov. I will say that this is a thing that is already in play.
Great. Yeah. So going aggro means I get to roll with cool, and since I'm acting on what you said, I get to add another +2 to that because perfect instincts.
Excellent.
So, yep. Which is good. because all of that together actually pulls it up to a 10.
Okay. I think you're going to have to shoot one of them because they need to throw this thing.
Cool.
And one of them cocks his arm back to throw it because they start kind of splitting because he's got to throw it. He can't just drop it here. So tell me what it is. What does it look like when you hit him with this?
So the thing for me is when I see him cock his hand back, I mentally imagine both scenarios of either firing at the cocktail itself and watching that just go up in flames in his hand, or shooting him in the foot and watching him go down, and then the Molotov cocktail explodes. And I just kind of...
What do you choose?
Yeah, I choose the foot.
Okay. So yeah, you will shoot this guy in the foot. He will stagger and he drops that Molotov, which will immediately crack when it hits the ground. And there will be that whoosh, Skipper, which you will see suddenly in the distance, this gout of flame behind the shed that you were headed towards. And you can probably see Nuzzle silhouetted by the orange flames with the echoing screams of somebody there. You muted?
I'm going to run over there then.
Okay. You will run over and you can smell gasoline. And you know you got drained of more than one bottle's worth of Molotov. Nuzzle, out of the darkness, Skipper comes running up towards you.
They're lucky I trust them, because the minute I actually see who it is, I don't swing my blunderbuss over immediately. I just have my gun out, focused, kind of trying to peer through the flames, and I just kind of say without looking at them, "Did you see where the other one went?"
I didn't. That's my gas they burned.
Had to get it from somewhere. Not surprised.
There was just two of them?
Far as I could tell. But then again, that's all I caught in my vision.
They took way more gas than that.
Shit. Okay. Can I try and read the situation again?
Yeah, let's have you read the situation has changed.
Yeah.
Let's get that resolved, and I'm going to come back to the mud pit.
Great. Okay. So. All right. That is a 9.
What is your question?
My question. What's my enemy's true position?
The other guy here is clearly taken off. He's probably hightailing it over to wherever the other sort of depot spot for Harrow that they're about to light up.
Okay.
And there's definitely, you get the sense it isn't just one group of people. It's probably doing a big hit on Harrow's properties right now.
Okay. Then before you switch over, I'll just finally look over at Skipper and say, they tried to knock one down. There's still one to go.
I took my gas. I'm in with you if you would need me.
Needs a word I'll probably be using.
By the way, I do want to point out that this is all framed by the of the dying sounds of this guy in the background. Just want to make that absolutely clear.
Right. So I'm shouting at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, I mean, I'd feel bad, but he was going to light me on fire.
Fair enough. Bleak, you've slid down into this mud pit. There are 3 guys with the kind of heavy wrapped spike fists that are fighting around in here. They are blinded by cuts to their face and blood and mud and so on. What do you do?
I'm gonna look for a way out. Like,
Okay.
just try and stay away from them.
Well, what is the way out of here?
I figure because it was, there was no like wall to stop me from falling in, so it's got to just be like a recessed pit, like 5 feet or so,
Okay.
and they just have like there's somebody on one side with a step ladder to hand it down.
Okay. Yeah, and you kind of slurping through there. You look up, and you will definitely see Jackbird. Has the blunderbuss out, has grabbed one of the attackers, and you can see that Lucio is bleeding out up there. Let's have you act under fire.
Okay, and that's cool, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's 10, 11.
Oh man, so what does that look like?
To get out, just like
yeah. What do we see on screen?
Yeah, so basically it's just him sludging through, and like as somebody kind of gets close to him, he kind of back over and Jackbird, get me the hell out of here! Put down a ladder before that guy dies.
Yeah, and I mean, I've got my blunderbuss trained on the prisoner, but I sort of jerk my head at the Lamprey, who rushes over and
takes it's essentially like a pool ladder that they've rigged for here. They'll stick that down to you, and you will climb on up.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a fixed ladder, but it's like on the other side of the pit. He would have to get past all the fighters, so Lamprey just runs over with a rope.
Yeah, the portable stuff to get people out. Bleak, you get on out. Do you want to try and keep this guy from dying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotta check him out.
All right.
So this is gonna be a use of my kit.
Yeah. How much of your stock are you going to spend?
I just want to stop him from dying, so 1.
Okay. All right. Let's have you roll. Spend 1 stock and roll.
9.
That on a hit, they stabilize. And you get to choose one from the list there.
Oh, yeah. On a hit, they stabilize. Sorry, it's a really big text block.
It is a massive text block.
Well, let's start the yeah, they're gonna owe me for my time, attention, and supplies.
Okay. So Jackbird, you see Bleak roll some of his kit out and start patching up Lucio and get the bleeding wounds patched. He's pale, but you can see he's gonna live. He's probably not gonna be fighting for a while, if ever. But he is alive. What do you do, Jackbird?
I turn my attention to the prisoner and I say, "Sweetheart, Lucio was not just a fighter. He was not just a friend. He was a customer. So, you are going to justify yourself. Why did you come into my establishment and cause trouble?
Sorry, Jackbird. It was a lot of money.
Who paid you? What did they want?
They wanted Lucio dispatched.
Who? Why in my place?
And why when I'm trying to help him?
Just
More appropriate, why get me in the middle of it?
she says, I wasn't the one who talked to them. It was my partner. They talked to him. Let's have you read a person, shall we?
That is an 11.
So you get 3 hold.
Yeah, all right, wow. First of all, let's just check. Is she telling the truth?
No.
How can I get her character to tell me the truth?
I think putting that blunderbuss at about eye level right now is probably going to be the quickest way to make her rethink her decisions.
Yes. Okay. I'm doing that, and I say you're going to have to give me more than that, or I'm going to have to make an example of you. I can't have this kind of business going on in my face of us, my establishment.
That it was Harrow.
Harrow. And
I don't know the business, but she had some beef with Lucio, and she wanted it dealt with quick.
did she say she wanted it done in here
She said she wanted it done tonight.
tonight? And you couldn't wait until he was out of my place? What is wrong with you, girl?
Sorry, Jackbird. Gotta eat.
Well, you and I are going over to talk to Harrow, and we are going to have words.
And that definitely, now she's terrified because she's given up her employer. You get the gun to her face, and doesn't know where her partner is, and shit is about to get absolutely real. So she's like, "You don't need to take me. Look, I'll do anything you want. Don't take me over there. You just go talk to Harrow. You don't have to drag me on. You know, what do you want me to do? When we sweep the floors, I'll clean all this blood up. I'll do that. I'll do that."
And I give her a level look, and then I gesture to who's one of my crew. I don't not Lamb.
Yeah, give us a name for your guy here.
Yeah, it's like Camo. He's
Camo.
I want to bring Lamprey with me when I confront Harrow, but Camo he's basically reliable. It's like, Camo, you're in charge of her until I get back.
Okay, I can do that, boss. It will be done. Got it.
Yeah.
Hold the tiny girl. Got it. And he lays a big meaty paw on her, grabs her by the shoulder, and steers her over to a table and pushes her down into a chair.
And I give her a look and says, "You owe me, girl. I will collect. Don't give Camo any trouble, and I'll let you off easy. But if I have to come and get you, you're gonna regret it."
Yes, Jackbird.
Right. So is Bleak, are you finished with your patient? Do you want to come confront Harrow with me?
Absolutely.
Okay, so Lamprey, Bleak, and I are going to head over to Harrow.
Okay.
What's going on?
Absolutely. Why don't you also, because you rolled sharp, mark XP? So let's cut back to the two of you, to Nuzzle and Skipper, heading over to this other one of Harrow's depots. Are you going fast? Are you going cautious? What's the approach here? What's the deal with you two? Gonna go and get Skipper's car and drive that over there, where there's a potential Molotov?
The thing I'm worried about is that Skipper's car itself is most likely a potential Molotov. I'm not exactly in the most trusting of, yes, let's put ourselves near a source of gas and see what happens. My instinct is to go fast, but the first two guys basically were right there and almost through it before I could do anything. So I'm cautious in the interest of being as highly watchful as I can, because I'm on the lookout for the silhouette of the guy I saw back there, but I also want to be careful that I see anything else that might be important to catch my eye, because I don't know if he's working alone. I don't know who he's working
Perfect.
for.
That seems fair. Skipper, you're alongside that?
Well, Skipper's natural inclination is to go fast everywhere. So Skipper starts taking off. So hope, unaware that this is going on. So unless somebody grabs me by the scruff of the neck or something.
I'll just very quickly, just kind of grab Skipper by the shoulder and just get in close and go, if you're going to go fast, keep an eye out while you do. We don't know who's on what side. We don't know who is even on the table right now. I know you can get out of places quickly. Just be careful how you get into places.
All right, well, I'll let you take the lead then.
Well, in that case, I'll try and... I think what then I'll do is I'll try and be as cautious as possible, but pick up my pace a bit, just in the interest of not totally, straggling behind.
So it seems to me you are more interested in keeping yourself from getting shot or gacked or anything, right? Yeah. Okay. Then let me have you do something under fire to keep that from happening.
Okay. Sure. Would this also be acting on one of the MC's answers?
No, I think we've already done that one.
Sure. Okay, cool. Do something under fire then. Here we go. I shall roll. That is a 7.
That is a 7. So you will hear the crack and see the plume of flame, and you see the other one of Harrow's places just catch fire and light up. And the two, now joined by the third guy who was running away from where you were at, who ran over to join his buddies, he's running pell-mell to join them. Those three, they don't see either of you because the smoke and the flame and the fire, you can get up on them, but that building is toast.
Just to clarify on my end.
Yeah.
Where was Harrow going to be tonight? Because
you're not sure.
Yeah, you said there were two depots, and I want to make, because I know she wasn't at ours or mine, and
she has other places.
Interesting. Okay. Who was supposed to protect this one?
You're not sure.
Shit.
I see you mulling deep in thought. Let me go to the person who might be a little more impulsive. Skipper, these fucks just threw your gasoline onto this building and used up a good chunk of your tank, setting this building on fire.
Yep.
What do you do?
I don't even give a warning. I'm just gonna try to unload some slugs into one.
Okay. And what are you using?
I got a. Did I put down Magnum? I think I changed it to Magnum. Originally, yeah, I've got the Magnum. So I got to get close, but then.
So I imagine that this is what we see is Nelson, we see you thinking, you're assessing the situation, you're looking back at the other thing, and Skipper draws out and bam, 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 and drops one of these guys, and the other two spin and scatter. They've got guns out, and they are essentially splitting in two directions so that they can get some shots at you guys.
All right. Can I go ahead and roll to keep an eye out?
You want to do the read a sitch?
Specifically, tactical and support moves. Keep an eye out for what's coming.
Absolutely. Roll plus sharp.
Uh-huh. Boxcars, baby.
Whoa.
Hold 3.
All right.
So what do you do?
All right. So
their buddy drops from Skipper's, point blank Magnum shot to his back.
Mm-hmm.
Other two split off. They've got guns out. Not shotguns and not Magnums. Just, basics, old slug throwers. What do you want to do?
All right. All right, so I'm going to first off give a PC ally an order, instruction, or suggestion, and if they do it, they get +1 to any rolls they make in the effort. And I say there are 2 of them, there are 2 of us. Let's go back to back, and they can't surprise us.
All right. Sounds good. I got to reload anyway, so I follow that instruction.
Cool. Whichever enemy is closest to you when they split off, I will direct your attention to that enemy, and if you attack that enemy, you inflict +1 harm.
Okay.
And I will hold off on that last one. I'll hold that, see where the battle goes.
Absolutely. So here's the thing: is they get and they let off rounds into you guys. So I think we're at the point at which we're exchanging harm here.
All right.
Okay. So they will hit you, Nuzzle, for 2 harm.
All right.
And they will hit you, Skipper, for 2 harm.
Okay.
Do you have any armor, Skipper?
None.
Okay. Then, you're getting your Magnum reloaded, and he Nuzzle's directing you. And as you kind of raise your gun up, you take that hit to your chest. Hits you in the side, and you feel that. I mean, it lands kind of, take a step back, and Nuzzle's directed you. Plus, you've got a Magnum, so you're dealing 4 harm to this fool. What does that look like?
I think I aim right for both their knees.
Okay.
Shoot off their knees.
Okay. Just boom, this thing goes, takes that knee shot, staggers back. You can see whatever shot hit definitely a femoral artery there, because that blood begins to spray. Leg twists back at an odd angle, and this guy goes down dead. Nuzzle, how much harm are you dealing back to this other guy?
4.
4 as well. Tell me what that looks like when you put this fool down.
Yeah. Also, I have 2 armor, so don't even take a hit. It just kind of glances off. And with this, I'm sorry?
Jerk.
Yeah, basically. So basically that, at this point, it was a mistake to let anyone live. So it's an immediate aim for the head.
Boom. One big shot, and there's a fine smear where his jaw used to be, and the body jerks and drops to the ground. Jackbird, Bleak, you've come out. You are planning on heading over to find out which of Harrow's safe houses she's at. You've started walking in a easterly direction, when you see this building whoosh catch fire, not too far away from where you're at. And then you hear a rapid doof, doof, small arms fire, and then a boom. What do you do?
Well, that seems like a situation that I don't need to get involved in.
Okay. So moving as quickly away from it as you can.
Could be money, but explosions are hard to care for.
Yeah.
So we're heading in that direction, right?
Heading past it.
Roughly, yeah.
We should probably see if just check. Maybe Harrow's there if that's one of our places.
Harrow might show up, yeah. But
So we should at least take a look at it.
yeah, check it out carefully.
And yeah, you two, as you kind of move forward, you realize this is one of Harrow's 2 supply places, and it is going up. And definitely you'll hear that, hear the crackle of flames and the smell of a shittily built building going up, plus whatever was stored in it. As we established just a little while ago, probably some fuel in there. You hear another secondary boom as that catches. And you see one of Harrow's supply depots just absolutely going up. I think as you kind of come around, you see Nuzzle there, a couple of bodies on the ground, as you would expect around Nuzzle, and Skipper probably clutching his side. Bleak?
Skipper looks like the most likely one to survive, so I'll go help him. Or them.
Skipper, you see Bleak come kind of running down a slight hill towards where you're at.
What's going on? Are you hurt?
Yeah, chest.
Okay. Looks like buckshot. It's going to be a long procedure. Can you walk?
I can walk.
All right. Then we should at least get away from the explosion before I do anything. I'm going to check those ones on the ground.
Oh, yeah, no, you don't even have to check. They are.
You don't need to check them.
Yeah.
They can stay.
I gesture to Skipper, kind of in Bleak's direction, and just say, keep an eye on them. I got to make sure the other depot doesn't go to hell.
Yeah, so I'll just back up and then wait for Bleak to.
Is Harrow around here?
She's not as far as I've seen. I don't know where she is tonight.
We got here right as it went up, so don't know.
So I'll start working on Skipper then, checking out at least.
Yeah. I'm going to wander back to where I was keeping an eye on things because I've got a bad feeling about this.
So you move back to where that is. Jackbird, what are you doing? You see Bleak kind of breaks off to take care of Skipper. Nuzzle's heading off in another direction. There's definitely shouts and noise. This explosion has definitely raised some kind of alarm.
Yeah, I think Bleak is okay. So I'm going to veer off with Nuzzle and get them to fill me in on what's happening, because if Harrow is not here, Harrow may not be here, but they're probably going to be here soon. This is going to draw their attention.
Cool.
So.
Cool.
And you two will get back. Nuzzle, you'll get back to that depot. And that lock on that front door is ripped off.
I know it. Oh, fuck. Okay. I throw caution to the wind and I run in there.
Okay. Doesn't look like much was taken. Looks like somebody grabbed up a couple of units of these heaters, took advantage of the chaos, but didn't get all that much.
Okay.
So, yeah, you lost some. Bleak, let's do your medical on Skipper, and
Okay.
then we're going to entrance Harrow stage right.
Okay, so
How much supply you spending, or are you doing something else?
that's going to depend on. So Skipper, I can do this the painful way or the easy way. What do you got to trade? You're muted.
I prefer the easy way, so this is what I got. And
Right.
I got.
I'll use if he's willing to give me a barter, I'll use 2.
Okay,
good.
marked off the barter. And let's have you roll.
That's a 5.
That is a 5. Let's see. What goes wrong that you deal 1 additional harm to Skipper instead?
You got hit by a shotgun, right?
Just a pistol.
Oh, a pistol? Okay. Yeah, just as I'm kind of digging it out, it's kind of stuck, so I push and accidentally it was like right up against the bone. So as I'm pushing, it cracks his. Where was it at? Your leg?
No, it was in the chest, so probably
In the
cracked.
chest? Yeah, so
cracked
a rib. So
Yeah.
as I'm trying to get the bun.
And the blood comes out copiously, soaking your pretty nice coat, right? And the two of you hear the sound of cocking guns. And Skipper, you look up and you will see Harrow and a group of 4 bodyguards there, a couple of them with scrap rifles that are pointing down on you. And she says, "What the fuck is going on here?"
This guy's bleeding. I'm trying to help him.
Nuzzle and I shot these fools. They lit the place up. They tried to light up the other place Nuzzle was at. This fool broke my rib. That's the short story version.
That seems like the short story version to me. Let's see. I am now going to have you roll your harm move, Skipper, because we need to see what has gone on here.
Okay. So my harm move.
So we're going to say we're going to roll this with just the additional harm that you've suffered, which is a +1.
Okay. So it's +1. Got a 5.
So that is pretty good. So you don't lose anything. You don't lose. You get incoherent. So you are fairly straight when you come up onto Harrow, and you tell her that, and she says, "What are you doing here, car jockey?"
They took my gas. I was looking for my gas when I came on Nuzzle, shooting the fools that tried to blow up the other place.
Nuzzle, what was the Nuzzle doing here? He's supposed to be watching the other depot.
That's where I came on him. He killed those 2, or one of them. Another one got away. I can't remember. Starting to hurt bad.
She gestures to one of the guys with the rifles and says, "Ignacio, you stay with these 2. We're going to go and find Nuzzle and see what he has to say for himself."
Yeah, he went looking for you, so it shouldn't be hard.
And Jackbird, Nuzzle, you kind of Jackbird, you're probably the person who sees Harrow and 3 of her bodyguards come walking this way, armed for bear. Rifles out at ready. They're looking around, they're scanning, and they see you. And you see that look on Harrow's face like, what the furk is Jackbird doing out in the street like this? Jackbird.
Harrow, looks like you got a situation over there.
Yeah, no fucking shit. What are you doing outside?
I was looking for you. Seems you sent a couple of boys into my place.
Oh, no. I sent a couple of boys.
Well, they were dumb.
Well, that shit's on their mom, not me. Where's Nuzzle?
I'm right here. I come out and I'm, I haven't put the blunderbuss away because I'm ready for whoever's coming after me next.
They didn't get here though. They didn't burn this place. That's good.
Doesn't mean they didn't take stuff in the commotion.
Say what now?
I'd like to read a person.
Okay. Let's have you roll sharp.
Yeah, because something doesn't add up and I want to know. All right. That is a 9.
Okay, you have one hold.
Okay. How could I get Harrow to spill the beans on what the fuck is going on here?
I think you need to point out to her and show her the bodies out back and make it clear that you whacked all 4 of the people who were doing this.
Yeah. Okay. And in the moment when she says, say what now? I'm like, keep in mind it could have been a hell of a lot more, but there are 4 dead bodies scattered between here and the other place that say otherwise. And I say otherwise.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I didn't think it was going to be a war so fast, but here we are.
You didn't think what was going to be a war so fast?
I didn't think I was going to be going to war with whoever whacked already a number of my enforcers in the last week. Why do you think you're on the door?
Oh,
I don't
please,
usually
you don't
like to
pay
go
me.
to. I don't usually don't like to go to freelancers.
Yeah, well, you didn't pay me to think, so I just kind of took it, and now I'm starting to question shit. So, better start talking about the whole thing real fast.
Excuse me? She says. I'm sorry. She says, I've given you what I know. Now, you did me a service, but my place also got broke into, which is what I paid you to keep from happening. But we'll have a moment here in just a second. Nuzzle. Jackbird.
Harrow, I trust that you respect my place. That your people were not acting under instructions. But look, if this is going to spill over into my establishment, then I would appreciate knowing who you are at odds with.
She goes, when I know, I will tell you, but I don't know who's doing this.
Well, I think everyone present is in favor of stability. Nobody wants a war. So,
Well,
I will ask.
she gestures back to the flames in the distance. I think somebody does.
Nobody in this settlement wants a war. I mean, there are obviously people who would like to move in, people who would like to cause trouble, but we've had a nice peaceful settlement here. I don't think anybody wants that to change. So if I can help you, I will help you. And if you have a word with that idiot who ran out of my place after stabbing one of my fighters, I would appreciate that as well.
I will convey your displeasure to him in a most expedient manner.
Fair enough.
See her kind of reach into her pocket. She goes, Nuzzle, come here.
I step cautiously. I allow one hand to continue holding the blunderbuss while I leave the other free.
She takes from her purse. You see her count out some coins. And she'll go, this is your pay for tonight. And there's some extra jink there to cover your Bleak's patching up of the car guy. And she gestures to the two of the three that are here to kind of go over to clearly continue to watch the building.
Yeah. And I think I'll take it. And in a different tone, not slightly, in a different tone than I did before, I'll just say, ma'am, I just want to be clear. I'm here to keep the peace. I'm here to keep things from blowing to pieces. So.
Well, it sounds to me like you and Jackbird are on the same wavelength as me. I would very much like to figure out who's doing this.
Then I'd recommend you keep me on. Just a personal recommendation. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's your choice. That said...
How about this? I will put a bounty in your hands if you bring me the head of whoever's doing this.
Does the head still need to be intact?
That is your discretion.
Well, then my discretion is advised.
Jackbird?
Harrow?
You can spread the word as well about that.
I will. Anybody at the bar hears what's going on, I will let you know. And I want to do my everybody eats even that guy move.
Okay.
To find out about what gams.
Let's have you roll with hot.
Oh, that's a 5. I mean, even with my +2 bonus, that's a 5.
Yeah. I think in the distance we hear some gunshots. Some more gunfire. And you will hear like the sound of shouting, and you can tell it is coming from the direction of the mud pit.
Shit. And I break out into a run.
Okay.
I will really quickly say to Harrow, permission to help take care of shit.
You're not on my payroll.
I'll take that as a yes. And outside of that, mechanically, how much was that in barter?
So it's a barter for Bleak and it's a barter for you.
Great. Cool.
Bleak, Skipper, you see Nuzzle, Jackbird come running back this way. This is actually, we're going to stop for tonight. I think this is a good place for us to hang our hat. We can kind of come into the aftermath of somebody putting a few shots into the mud pit and see what comes of that. Does that seem fair?
That's good.
Let's do the end of session stuff, which is all about HX, I believe. At the end of each session, choose a character who knows you better than they used to. If there's more than one, choose one at your whim. Nuzzle, who knows you better now?
Skipper, definitely.
Okay. Skipper, you will raise your HX with Nuzzle by 1.
I believe that pushes them over.
Yeah, which will reset it to 1. And you'll get to mark XP, Skipper. Rich has a thing that he does when this happens. Skipper, you get to ask Nuzzle a question about their desires, wants, anything like that. What do you want to know about Nuzzle?
Nuzzle, you're the one I saw looking out into the horizon. Is there somebody that you miss?
Yeah. It's the same person I left out there.
Interesting. I like that. Nice and ambiguous there. I like that. Bleak, who knows you better?
I don't know. I could say Jackbird or Skipper. Probably more Jackbird.
Okay. Jackbird, you may raise your HX with Bleak. Jackbird, who knows you better?
I would say Bleak.
Okay. Bleak, raise that with Jackbird. And lastly, Skipper, who knows you better?
It's going to be Nuzzle.
Okay.
For sure.
All right.
Nuzzle finally gets to 0.
Yeah, which that's such. Oh wow.
At the start of next session, we'll check in with everybody. Don't forget whenever you've rolled with the highlighted stats, if you did, don't forget to get to mark XP. So I think Bleak, you at least got 1 XP from doing something under fire, right? Okay. And that's what we'll take up next time. We'll stop and check in with everybody and make sure everybody's happy with the moves that they chose and the choices they made. If you want to switch things around, you certainly have the opportunity to do that at the beginning of next session. And that's where we're going to stop.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
This was a blast.
Yeah, it's fun.